This is Let's Talk Business with your hosts, Marc Ebinger and Heather Boehme. Now, here's Marc.
Welcome to Let's Talk Business, the show that talks entrepreneurship with some of the best businesses in the San Antonio area. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk with Irmalinda Gonzales, the business manager and owner of Plumbing Dawgs, a company that focuses on residential and commercial plumbing. Irmalinda, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
I know you're a little
to
nervous,
be
but
here.
you
I
got
am
it.
a little nervous.
You got it. Also joining us is her husband, Pedro Gonzales, the master plumber at Plumbing Dawgs. Pedro, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having us.
I know you came on short notice, so that was awesome. Thanks for...
He's my security blanket.
Oh, yeah. Send the apprentice out to go fix up the jobs that we have pending, so that way we can make time to be together.
Wow. How long have you guys been married?
Oh, man, about 20 years already almost.
And you still want to spend time
years.
together. That's awesome.
Yes,
It's a big
yes.
deal, yeah.
I love that. There's hope for the rest of us, right? In studio with us today is Heather Boehme, a certified business coach that works with business owners to gain clarity in business and achieve their goals. Heather, welcome back to the show.
Always happy to be here on
Yeah.
a bright, shiny Monday.
Yeah. And I'm your host, Marc Ebinger, the owner of Crükus Marketing Agency, a company that specializes in giving small businesses a competitive edge by hiring lead generation and administrative experts from the Philippines for as little as $7 an hour. That's how I built my whole company, and it works very, very efficiently for me. A quick reminder for our listeners, you can catch video and podcast versions of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. And if you're a business owner in the San Antonio area and would like to have your company featured on the show, visit our website at satalkradio.com or call our office at 210-960-8210. That's 210-960-8210. All right, well, as we said, first up on the show is Irmalinda Gonzales and her husband, Pedro Gonzales. They are the business manager and owner of Plumbing Dawgs, a company that focuses on both residential and commercial plumbing. So, guys, welcome to the show. Excited to have you here.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk plumbing, but we're also going to talk about the business around plumbing and what that's like, because I know you guys are heavily building. Irmalinda is spearheading that side of it when it comes to the business expansion side. I'm excited to dig into that.
And I wanted to clue in kind of what we talked about before we started actually recording is that Irmalinda is the owner and
Yes.
Pedro is the
Master
master plumber.
correct.
So she is a woman-owned business spearheading this very male-dominated industry. So how has that been breaking into you're the owner while he runs the operations side?
Initially, we did it because Pedro was always a union plumber. And in order to maintain our benefits and continue being union, we decided to be a union contractor. And that would mean that I had to become a union contractor. And then I also went down the road of wanting to be a woman-owned business. So it's kind of a perk on both sides. And it's been interesting. I am surrounded by a lot more people, but I'm not the only woman-owned company out there, plumbing company, you know? So I've met other women owners as well. So it's not necessarily as dominant as it used to be. I mean, there's very far and few between, right? But we definitely are out there. I mean, women, we're very strong individuals, so we can delegate efficiently. I mean, not that men can't, but you know, I manage 4 kids. Managing a business is not much harder, right? Employees and so forth. So it's been interesting for me. It's been a challenge, but something that I truly enjoy to do. Yeah.
And Pedro, so who's the boss?
Oh, she is all the time,
Totally.
even through marriage. Like I tell everybody, I just say yes, yes, yes. You get whatever you want. Makes life easier.
Happy wife, happy life, right?
Yes, for sure.
So 4 kids?
4 kids.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. How old are they?
That's a lot.
I have 1, so I'm like...
I have 2 and I'm like, oh my gosh.
4 is a lot. Well, it seems like a lot. So how old are they?
Let's see, our oldest is 29, I believe. And then we got our 19-year-old boy, our 17-year-old girl, and our 15-year-old.
And our 19-year-old is a first-year apprentice through the union, and he works for us as well.
Oh, nice.
Since we are a union contractor
Truly a
with
family.
local 142 plumbers and pipe fitters.
Okay, so truly a family
Yes.
kind of
Family owned and
operated.
run operation business, yes.
Excellent. So what are some challenges, Irmalinda, that you guys have really kind of come up against as you're launching this thing?
I don't think we have really met serious challenges. I think the biggest thing for us is the fact that, you know, it's really hard to see people in very distressed situations when we go in and find that they have plumbing issues, but they've had several companies go out and try to fix it for them and have not completed that. And, so we get the tail end of it, of coming in and trying to help them. So the hardest part is trying to convince them to spend the money that they feel they've already spent twice, So I think probably that's the biggest thing, is the fact that they've already paid twice. They don't have to pay a third time, but I mean, it's not our fault that they hired the wrong company, So it's really hard to explain to them and get them to understand, like, I'm sorry, but, it isn't done correctly. We will have it done correctly. And you don't even have to pay us till we're completely done and you're satisfied with the job. We're not looking to take money up front. And we also offer financing. So, I mean, it's, we come in there with solutions for them. So I think the challenge is meeting people and them having to have a bad experience with another plumbing company and us coming behind them. I mean, in the end, we look like, superheroes, right?
Rock stars, right?
Right. But in the beginning, they've already lost the faith and the trust. So it's having to regain that for sure.
And that's huge in the plumbing industry. I think we've all had an experience with plumbing where, you had someone come out. I know I had someone work on my house for like 3 days and then they just disappeared on me once, and I had to finally call in another company and they fixed it for the same amount of money I had already spent. So if I just called them the first time,
right,
I would have only spent that money once. How often are you coming against that challenge, especially as a newer business?
I think in the beginning it was a lot more than it is now, but it's not that often anymore.
Yeah, read more deal with the strike team. Unfortunately, people are doing work, not pulling permits. And when we get there, they're like, hey, they took all my money, and now we're stuck with no power, no water, because the city says, hey, you know what? You guys are doing everything illegal, so we're killing your power to the facility. And start pulling all your permits, getting with the strike team downtown with the city, and getting all that addressed, and pulling all the proper permits that are required. And that seems to be going on, that all these plumbing companies are in there not pulling permits, and when we go in there, give them a price to pull a permit, and they are crying for the price because we are pulling the permits, and that's why they got involved with the strike team for not pulling permits.
It's like you're going to pay for it one way or the other. Either you're taking a huge risk, which could be more expensive, you know what I mean, or you're going to pay the money up front with a company that's going to do everything that's supposed to be done.
Yes, for sure, especially when we do tunnels underneath houses and buildings. We get an engineer involved every time to get our structural done. So that way their house or their facility has the structural that they need. Because once we excavate in there, then the integrity is not there no more. So if you're near a pier or a beam, as they call it, and you take out 3 foot of that soil, now that's exposed and the foundation's not going to stay structurally stable. So we need to put piers in there to be able to stabilize it once again.
What was the inspiration for starting the company in the first place?
Well,
I got a lower tattoo.
Oh, wow. I really want to hear
that,
this
that
story.
was, that was how we named.
That's how you named it. But as far as actually deciding to.
So I've always been in property management, and I've been a real estate agent for a very long time. And, I've done renovations and, stuff like that, and dealing with plumbing problems during the tendency of their contract. But I took a time out for, I had lost my father. And so I took care of him for the last 5 years of his life. And I found myself kind of not knowing what I wanted to do next. I had been a caretaker for him. And so Pedro said that I needed to do something. So he suggested that we open up our own plumbing company. And, that I could run it and, be my own boss and so forth. And so I knew that it was going to be challenging, and it was something that was going to be new to me. So I wanted to do the research. I wanted to build something from nothing. And that was exciting. It got me excited. I've done real estate for so long, and that's fun too. I still sell homes and stuff like that. But to start a new project, like, my kids are all older and stuff, so they're kind of already set in their paths. So this is definitely something I wanted to nurture and see grow and see if I could do it, challenge myself. So
What
I
a
took
great
it on.
example, too, to show them as they're going up into their teenage years and watching their mom and dad just strike out and start something on their own. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and they're a great support system too, and they're always boosting us up and stuff. So it's pretty amazing, And then we had to come up with a name.
Yeah, this is
We're
the
back
naming
tattoo.
scheme, right?
Yes. And younger, since my name's Pedro with the letter P, and then, well, dog is Dawgs, because I was always a little crazy and didn't care, was more daring to do whatever, and just went forward. No fear.
He started the trend of tramp stamps.
I was about 14 when I got it.
Whoa,
Right?
14.
That's what I
Did
said.
your parents know about that?
Oh, no, they didn't know. I always kept my shirt on
Oh, yeah.
until I got busted one day.
Who busted you?
My mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So
always
what
mom.
was her reaction?
Nothing. Oh, she was mad. She grabbed a sandal and threw it at me.
Chocolates. Yeah.
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
heard those stories, yeah. I never got one thrown at me, but I've heard the stories.
So that's how he came up with plumbing dogs. Like he already had the P for plumbing and dogs, so that was it.
I love it. So you guys started this new venture. You've obviously had experience managing and we're looking
Right.
for a new challenge. But you guys said several times at the beginning of the show, you're a union contractor, union based company. And we
Right.
don't hear that very often on this show is like unions because a lot of businesses have kind of a negative view of it. Why is that important to you guys?
Well, it was important to make sure that our family stayed maintained, and he had already invested over 15 years into it, so we wanted to continue to invest in it. And it also, we wanted to be kind of open the door for the commercial portion of it, and we thought that the union would definitely do that for us.
what does that mean, like opening the door for the commercial?
Well, when there are big contracts in the city, they go to the union for support, to
Manpower.
to bid on these big jobs. So we wanted to be in there with the bigger players, and kind of that was our goal, was just to kind of make sure that we're in the ball game, and we thought the union would definitely
So
help
smart.
us.
Yeah.
I love it.
And
Yes.
and also, it was still going to sustain my family. Also the manpower for us to grow would come from the union. You know what I mean? They would provide us a quality tradesman because they're trained for 5 years. And so we would just need to call them and say, hey, we need some additional guys. And they would provide the manpower. But they also provide the insurance and their all their benefits and stuff, which, everyone wants benefits when they work. So it's not something that I have to deal with directly. So it's not going to bog me down to have to deal with insurance or anything, or hiring or anything. That they deal with all of it.
I love that. And why are some of the reasons that other businesses don't directly start working with the unions?
I will say it's probably financially stabling their business. So when you have a non-union company probably paying their journeymans $20 an hour, and when you go to local 142 Plumbers website, it'll even give you their pay scale. So our journeyman plumbers are more closer to about $40 an hour. So we're doubling on the pay, and for residential contractors, it's a lot cheaper to hire their manpower.
Yeah, non-union, so there's a different pay scale, definitely. So, but I think that's value in it, you know what I mean? There's a value in paying that additional amount. One, your employee is going to be happy they're getting the training, on the job training, and they're still going to be able to support their family with medical benefits and retirement, So for us, it was very important to maintain, so that we can maintain our. I'm a real estate agent, so we don't have insurance, right? We have to provide it for ourselves.
And a
he's-
blessing with the union is that you could have 15 kids and you're still paying the same amount. So your
Right.
insurance ain't going any higher or any lower.
Right, and I priced it, for us to stay private, and then going union, and it kind of was, it made more financial sense for us to go with the union.
So what does it take to become unionized?
You have to be bonded for sure, so you have to qualify for a bond, and then there's a minimum amount that they require, and then pretty much an interview, and it just depends on them to say yes or no.
And then I imagine there's oversight there as well. So if people have complaints and stuff like that, the
Absolutely.
union
Yes.
acts as an oversight.
Right.
Yes, for sure. There's a board, a committee, everything all involved. And plus, if you look nationwide, you have local unions all over the place. Electrical, plumbing, HVAC, elevators, carpenters. So they're just all over the place.
And that's something I think some of us outside of the trade network, because I did real estate as well, and my main focus was getting someone that would show up and do the price that was reasonable. So we don't really think of the unions. And you guys attacked starting a new business from a different angle. You said, it's not the cheapest to go union, but we see the benefits in it, especially from the commercial standpoint. So you guys jumped right into that. How has that worked out, getting commercial jobs? How are you leveraging that too?
We are seeing more commercial jobs come in, which is amazing. It's not where we want to be exactly just yet, but we are only a year and a half into this. So, but we have seen the benefits of being union and the commercial jobs coming in.
So how do you guys stand out? Obviously, you're a union, but how else, as far as services you guys provide?
Really, the biggest thing is showing up.
Isn't that interesting that we've come to a point in our culture where a big deal is just showing up?
Yeah, showing up and then a lot of integrity. Like I tell my customers, I'd rather build relationships than customers because customers are all over the place. But having a relationship is something different. So for us, I'd rather try to build a relationship with everybody we meet. So that way we understand their problems, what they're going on, and let's figure out a way to satisfy them so that way they will have confidence in other plumbers or us to come back and do some more additional work for them.
Yeah, and so talk about services just real quick. I think speaking of relationship, because there are things that really should be done maybe every year or even maybe more than once a year as part of maintaining your home when it comes to plumbing. What would some of those things be?
You could have like your backflow tests. Backflows, you have them in your irrigation systems throughout your commercial buildings to be able to protect your potable water from contamination or cross-contamination. So you got different backflows that are really key factors in your residential and commercial industry. And
those are required to be checked annually.
Once a year. And then for some commercial buildings, yes, you have a bunch of grease waste, and those need to be either hydrojet every 3 months or every 6 months, depending on how big that facility is.
What about water pressure testing? Is that something too? Or?
Yes, your water pressure, you could always get a hose bib gauge. Like I tell people at Home Depot, they're only about $11-15. Grab it, stick it on your first hose bib front of your property, and you'll be able to see your PSI. Your PSI should be ranged between 35 and 80 at the max. If you're above 80 PSI, then that means your PRV's already gone bad. Okay. And it could affect all the seals through everything in your house.
Yep.
And all your fixtures.
And water heaters, too. People don't realize that you can flush out your water heater to preserve their life, So that's a good thing. What would you recommend for them to
It's
do?
pretty simple. Just get your wife, girlfriend's pantyhose, cut it, tie it to your water hose at the end of it, and you'll see how much calcium comes out. If barely any calcium's inside that little pocket sleeve that you just made, then you know you're flushing it well. If it has a lot of calcium, then you know you need to flush it a little more frequently.
How often should you be doing it on average?
Typically, it's about once a year.
Okay. And that's a flush, not a drain, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, I've heard people call it, and I actually got corrected by a plumber one time. Mm-hmm. He's like, "You don't drain it, Mark." It's Pedro. Tito. Yeah, he said, "You don't drain it, Mark. He's got a Puerto Rican accent. He's a great guy, but you got to flush it, right? Which means you keep water pressure going.
That is correct.
You don't empty it out.
Yes, and if they're going to empty it out, if it's an electrical water heater, I suggest unplugging it or killing the power to it so you don't burn your elements.
See, I'm a big proponent of not DIYing stuff that's more than a certain amount of money. So I just pay somebody to do that because I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to my water heaters, right? I'm curious, though, like in real estate. So you have a background in that. When it comes to the commercial side, residential side, generally, I was in the residential. So you could sell pretty much any size house. The process was mostly the same. But when it starts getting into commercial in real estate, it really matters. Is it retail? Is it industrial? Is it multifamily? Is it what size is it when it comes to that kind of stuff? Is it the same in plumbing if you're coming into a building that is used for, like it's a restaurant, or if it's a big office building, or if it's being used for industrial?
Yes.
Do you
there
need to
is code.
specialize in those different type of areas?
Do you need to specialize? Not necessarily. If you know the code, you can pretty much work on anything, right? But Pedro comes from a background of commercial plumbing. That's what he was in the union for, was strictly commercial.
Oh, wow.
But when he was my plumber, he did a bunch of residential. So he got the experience of both worlds. But to specifically have a dedicated, because like in real estate, you have a dedicated name to it, right?
Yeah.
But here in plumbing, you don't. So it's really what you're comfortable doing, and luckily for us, we've had the experience in both spectrums. So we're pretty knowledgeable.
Because what I found in real estate is every once in a while you'll get a residential agent who will stumble into a commercial deal.
Right.
And they don't know what they don't know, which, they'll work as hard as they can, but I would not try to sell a commercial deal, even with all of my knowledge of real estate, because I just don't know what questions to ask. I don't know what I don't know. So I would imagine that's so important in the plumbing even more.
Well, a good example would be our son, who's a first-year apprentice right now. Like, he's getting some commercial experience with us, right? Because we're taking on commercial jobs. But he's mostly in the residential, right? Mm-hmm. So we've talked about letting him go and going to go work for another plumbing company to get the experience that does strictly commercial, so that he could get the experience. Pete has 15 years of experience, but he's just in this for not even a year yet, and he's been exposed to more residential than he has commercial. So we've talked about that.
What's his thoughts on you letting him go? You're not going to fire me, Mom, are you?
I don't think he likes the idea, but
I think on some days when him and Dad are not getting along, he likes the idea.
Would he take a pay cut?
No. Our pay's all the way straight across the board.
Yeah, the union, you know exactly
so
what
he
you're
would go
getting
to
paid.
another union company.
Yes, for sure.
All right, cool.
And still make the same amount of money as he's doing with us, or even more, depending, because we only stick to a 40-hour week. Once in a great while, we do work on Saturdays and Sundays. But for him, working, for instance, another big union contractor, they'll be working Monday through Sunday sometimes.
Right, because they're looking to put up a whole building, and they're meeting deadlines, so they have to work more. Because we are family owned and operated, we prefer to work the 40-hour weekday so we still have our family time. But we are available and have plumbers available for emergency services. So
when it comes to you guys' success so far, what are some key points of your success that you guys maybe have experienced, and why?
I say the experience of working together for sure.
Maybe. That's the challenging part.
Everybody knowing their place.
Well, yeah, I think a family in this respect is like a business, right? As long as the roles are defined and people are doing what they need to be doing, then things run smooth.
It should.
It should, but then Pete is very passionate about what he does. Extremely passionate about what he does, and I think that is one of the biggest reasons why we've succeeded this far. And my position is selling him to people. So, and it doesn't take me very much. I really admire what he does, and I admire that he has extreme passion and integrity doing what he does. The reviews that come in, and, having to speak to a customer on the phone for an hour raving about your husband is pretty amazing. You know what I mean? But we tried to, I think the success is also trying to find a true balance. Because sometimes someone will be up at 8 o'clock at night wanting to put me to work. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I clocked out at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, but a lot of our big success does come to as well by when we get phone calls, instead of me charging $200-$300 to go out to your house, I will kind of walk you through it over the phone. And not too many plumbing companies will do that. And like I said, I'd rather build relationships. So if I could save you a few $100s for us not even showing up, then why not? That's the blessing that we're able to give to people.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I always hear in the entrepreneurial world, right, is success is simple, but it's not easy. How has that shown up in y'all's business so far?
Okay, so we are a small business, and so when we're doing bigger jobs,